Hello, pupils. You're welcome to another wonderful edition of your favorite program, The Classroom in Your Home, a program organized by the Lagos State Government and packaged by the Lagos State Universal Basic Education Board, LASUBEB. The aim is to ensure that you are academically engaged in addition to what you're learning in school. I am Auntie Fumi, your English Studies teacher, and I have with me, as usual, your wonderful teachers.
Hello, children. I am your mathematics teacher, Uncle Agbaje, but you know me as the mathematician.
Uncle Popo is here, your general studies teacher.
And we also have our active sign language interpreter with us. Together, we are bringing the classroom into your home. Please stay tuned. Hello, pupils. You're welcome to Auntie Fumi's class. And in our English Studies lesson today, we'll be considering a very important topic, and that is the use of affirmative and negative sentences. The use of affirmative and negative sentences. Before we go into the learning objective for today's lesson, I gave you an assignment. Let's do the correction together. Did you get the 4 correctly? Then you deserve to be celebrated with a chair. Good job, you. Well done. Now to today's learning objective. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to identify affirmative and negative sentences. You should be able to identify affirmative and negative sentences. On that note, I say, let's begin the lesson. Sentences can be divided into 2 primary groups. That is the affirmative, or what we call the positive, and the negative sentences. 2 primary groups, the affirmative or positive and the negative sentences. Those are the 2 groups. It's either you call it affirmative or positive. Then the second one is the negative sentences. Now let's look at the affirmative or the positive sentences. An affirmative sentence simply states something. An affirmative sentence simply states something. It is any declaration that is positive. It is any declaration that is positive. An affirmative sentence expresses the validity of truth of an assertion. It states that something is this way. An affirmative sentence expresses the validity of truth of an assertion. It just states this is the way it is. That is what makes it to be affirmative in nature. Look at the sentence. Jane is a girl. Jane is a girl. It's an example of an affirmative sentence. But if we have a sentence like Jane is not a boy. Jane is not a boy. This is an example of a negative sentence. What makes one affirmative and what makes the second a negative sentence? We'll see in the course of the lesson. An affirmative or positive sentence means something is so. Jane is a girl. It is so. That is what makes it an affirmative sentence. An affirmative or positive sentence means something is so, while a negative sentence, which is its polar opposite, means something is not so. Jane is not a boy. That is, it is not so. It makes it a negative sentence. Jane is a girl. It is so. That is positive. That is affirmative. Are we together? Well done, children. Now, looking at negative sentences. A sentence is usually made negative in English by placing the adverb not, not, after the finite verb. What gives you a negative sentence? A negative sentence is usually made by placing the adverb not, N-O-T, not, N-O-T, after the finite verb. Let's look at such verbs. We have be. From be we have is, I-S, am, A-M, are, A-R-E, was, W-A-S, and were. All those are parts that stay under the final verb be. Then have, H-A-V-E, have. It could be as, it could be add, have. That's another example. Can or could. Shall or should. Will or would. May or might. Must or ought. All these are examples of such verbs. Now, how do we make sentences negative? How do we make sentences negative? Now, talking about the verb be, we put the word not after the various forms of the verb be. We have looked at the various forms of the verb be, be, be. We said is, am, are, and so on and so forth. So when you want to form a negative sentence using the verb be, you put the word not after the various forms of the verb be. Now, look at this affirmative sentence. He is walking. He is walking. If you now want to make it a negative sentence, what you have to do is just to put not, not, after the form of verb. For now, you have he is walking, and the negative form will be he is not walking. He is not walking. In case of will be, when you have sentences that has will be, shall be, you have to put the not after will and shall. Will be will now become will not be. Shall will become shall not be. Are we together? Now, look at the sentence. When we're talking about the verb, how to make negative sentence using the verb have, which could also be as or add. Look at this affirmative sentence. I have a pen. It could be, you can change it to the negative form by saying I have no pen, or I do not have a pen, or I don't have a pen. If you have an affirmative sentence like she has a pen, she has a pen. That's the third person singular. She has a pen. To make it a negative sentence, it will become she has no pen, or she does not have a pen, or she doesn't have a pen. All the three are correct. Then, looking at the past tense form, she had a pen. In the simple past tense, she had a pen. To make it a negative sentence, you can say she had no pen, or she did not have a pen, or she didn't have a pen. In this way, we've been able to make affirmative sentences negative using the verb have. Now, if we want to make negative sentences out of verbs which are made of two or more words, we put not after the first word. We put not after the first word. Look at this affirmative sentence. She is painting. Is painting is the verb there. We have two verbs. Is painting. So, to make a negative sentence, it becomes she is not. Not comes after is. So, she is not painting. She is not painting. He should take a break. He should take a break. To form the negative sentence out of it, it becomes he should not take a break. The not comes after the first word, should take. Is painting, should take. Is painting, is not painting. Should take, should not take. Are we together? In forming negative sentences in the simple present tense form, we use either do not or does not with the root form of the verb. Here is what I mean. Look at this example. I eat fruit daily. I eat fruit daily. To make a negative sentence out of that affirmative sentence, it becomes I do not eat fruit daily. I do not eat fruit daily. She eats fruit daily. She eats fruit daily becomes she does not. You know, you cannot say she do not because you're talking about the third person singular now. So she does not eat fruit daily. I eat fruit daily. I do not eat fruit daily. She eats fruit daily. She does not eat fruit daily. When you're talking about the third person, he, she, or it, you use does. And when you're talking about I, you, we, or they, you use do. Did you get that simple rule? Well done, children. You are smart. So it's activity time. Today we've been able to look at affirmative and negative sentences. And we gave example in the simple present tense and the simple past tense, how to form negative sentences even with imperative sentences. So it's time for me to find out how attentive you have been in the course of the lesson through your classwork. So turn the following sentences to the negative form. Turn the following sentences to the negative. The baby cried very loudly. 2. It cut down the tree. 3. They said some prayers. 4. I have lost my pen. And 5. Akin broke the pot. In the next 40 seconds, please write the negative sentence or the negative forms of the sentences. And I'll be back for the correction. Your time starts now. Your pens down. Your pens down. Well done. So let's do the correction together. The baby cried very loudly. Because cried is in the past tense, your answer automatically becomes the baby did not cry very loudly. The baby did not cry very loudly is in the simple past tense form. Did you get that? Okay, let me get my pen and let's mark. So, if this is your answer, you have a tick. Good job, you. Number 2, he cuts down the tree. He, third person singular. He cuts down the tree. The negative form automatically becomes he does, because cuts, present continuous, cuts. He does not cut down the tree. He does not cut down the tree. Did you get that too? Oh, another tick. The third one, they said some prayers. They said some prayers. That's in the past, simple past tense. So the answer becomes they did not say some prayers. They did not say some prayers. Did you get that? Are you sure? Wow. That's another tick for you. Number 4, I have lost my pen. I have lost my pen. Because it is in the simple present tense form, I have not lost my pen. Just put not. I have not lost my pen. Did you get that? Very simple. And lastly, Akin broke the pot. Akin broke the pot. What is the answer? Akin did not break the pot. Akin did not break the pot. is in the past tense. So Akin did not break the pot. Auntie Fumi got 5 out of 5. What about you? Really? Oh, you got 3. There's no problem. You are champions and I celebrate you with this chair. Well done. So for your assignment, turn the following to the affirmative. For your classwork, you turn to negative, and now you are turning the sentences to the affirmative. So, in the next 20 seconds, please capture this assignment, and I'll be back to sign out. Well done, children. By now, you should have captured the assignment. Make sure you submit promptly, and make sure that when you're submitting, you did not leave out your name, your school, your class, and your local government education authority. This is the only way by which you can be identified and rewarded accordingly. You will soon be rewarded, don't worry. Lagos Subeb will give you very unique gifts. Yes, because you are active participants. So on that note, I say that's it for today. We have come to the end of the English Studies lesson for today. Today we looked at the use of affirmative and negative sentences. And we had fun learning the rules in forming negative sentences. On that note, I want to hand you over to the mathematician, Uncle Agbaje, for another loaded mathematics lesson. Before I go, let me remind you that Auntie Fumi is always proud of you. Bye.
Hello, children. You are welcome to this segment of the program, The Classroom in Your Home. It is mathematics time, and that means it is time to have some fun. I am Uncle Agbaje. Today in mathematics, we will continue our work on speed, but another aspect of it, of course. Let's begin by reviewing the correction to the previous homework which you were given. Throughout the journey, a train covered the first 400 kilometers in 2 hours, the next 300 kilometers in another 2 hours, and the final 200 kilometers in 3.5 hours. Find its average speed for the whole journey. Remember that we did something like this in the last lesson, where we said that when you have different distances and different times, to find the average speed, take the total distance and the total time. And of course, average speed, remember the song? What is the formula for average speed? What is the formula for average speed? Speed distance over time, time distance over speed. That is the formula for average speed. Average speed is 120 kilometers per hour, and we'll say therefore the average speed of the train is 120 kilometers per hour. Did you get this right, my friend? Of course you did. It was quite easy. So of course, as usual, I will celebrate you with a chair. Now we move on to today's lesson. But what are the learning objectives? By the end of the lesson, we should be able to convert speeds in kilometers per hour to meters per second. We should also be able to convert speeds in meter per second to kilometers per hour. And finally, we should be able to compare two speeds or 3 or more to be able to determine which one is faster and which one is slower. How are we going to do all this? Let's just go right into the lesson. First, we need to review our units of time. We remember that 60 seconds make 1 minute and 60 minutes make 1 hour. But we can write this as 60 minutes as 60 times 1 minute, and it should still be 1 hour. Now remember that 1 minute is 60 seconds, 1 minute is 60 seconds. So instead of writing 1 minute here, we'll write 60 seconds. 60 times 60 seconds will still be 1 hour. And that means 60 times 60, 6 times 6 is 36, and I put 2 zeros. And that means that 3,600 seconds will make 1 hour. Just keep that at the back of your mind, that in 1 hour, there are 3,600 seconds. We also need to review our unit of distance. And the major one we'll review is the fact that 1,000 meters is 1 kilometer. So since we're going to be changing from kilometers per hour to meters per second, we need to review the relationship between kilometers and meters and hours and seconds. So that is that 1,000 meters is 1 kilometer, 1 kilometer, 3,600 seconds is 1 hour. So let's keep that in mind as we go. Now this says convert 36 kilometers per hour to a speed in meters per second. The same speed, but we can express it in different ways. Either we leave it as meters per second or kilometers per hour. But now we've been given these 36 kilometers per hour to change to meters per second. So how do we go about it? Let's begin with what we have. What we have is that 36 kilometers will go for 1 hour. That is the speed. Now, we can rewrite this 1 hour as 3,600 seconds. Remember, 1 hour is 3,600 seconds. We can also rewrite 36 kilometers as 36,000 meters because 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So 36 kilometers will be 36,000 meters. So in essence, we are multiplying these by 1,000. So 36 kilometers is 36,000 meters. 1 hour is 3,600 seconds. Now we want to change to meters per second. And per second means 1 second. We already have meters here. And we already have seconds here. Our job is now to find how many meters for 1 second. So we have to bring this down to 1 second. Now, if we reduce this to 1 second, we have to reduce this likewise. But in this ratio, and when we are reducing in this ratio, that will be 1 over 3,600. Then times what we want to reduce, which is 36,000 meters. I'll take that again. 3,600 has been reduced to 1 second in the ratio 3,600 to 1. We have to reduce this in that same ratio, and that is multiplying this by 1 over 3,600 because the smaller number has to be on top. Now we can resolve. 2 zeros here cancel 2 zeros here. 36 goes here 1, 36 goes here 1, here 0. And so we are left with 1 times 10 meters, which is 10 meters. And so 10 meters will go for 1 second. And now we have successfully gotten the number of meters for 1 second. That is 10 meters for 1 second. So 36 kilometers per hour is not the same thing as 36 meters per second. It is the same thing as 10 meters per second. I'll just run through how I did it again so that you don't lose your way when you want to do yours. Start with the speed that is given, and where you want to go to is important. We have kilometers per hour and want to go to meters per second. The kilometer side, change it to meters. The time side from hour, change it to seconds. Now, find how much will go for 1 second, the distance for 1 second, by reducing the other side as well in the same ratio, and you will get your answer. Let's look at another one. This says that we have to convert 3 meters per second to a speed in kilometers per hour. 3 meters per second to a speed in kilometers per hour. So this time we have meters per second. So the same process, distance traveled to time taken, we know that 3 meters goes for 1 second. Now we want to go to 1 hour. But how many seconds are there in 1 hour? That is 3,600 seconds. So that's what we write exactly. We want to go to 3,600 seconds. And for this one, if we're going from 1 second to 3,600, we're increasing it in this ratio. So we have to increase this one as well. That is 3,600 over 1 times this one. Now, 3,600 over 1, that should give us 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times the second 0 is 0. 3 times 6 is 18, regroup 1. Then 3 times 3 is 9 plus that 1, making 10. We should have 10,800 meters for 3,600 seconds, which of course is the same thing as 1 hour. So observe. So 3,600 seconds is the same thing as 1 hour. So I've just changed this. I did not increase or decrease it. I will resolve this. We got 10,800 meters. So ordinarily we should say, oh, we're done. We already know the distance traveled in 1 hour. But we are not done. The question saying change it to kilometers per hour. But what we have is meters per hour. So we have to change this 10,800 meters to kilometers. And 10,800 meters rather has 10,000 meters. 10,000 meters is 10 kilometers. And so we are dividing this by 1,000 to get the kilometer aspect of it, divided by 1,000, because 1,000 meters is 1 kilometer, and we've done something like this before. So we are dividing by 1,000, and that means that if you have 3 zeros, you move the decimal point to the back. 1, 2, 3. That is 10.800, and the zeros at the back, of course, in a decimal number can be deleted. So we have 10.8. So let me just remove that. To change meters to kilometers, you have to divide by 1,000. And so in this case, we have 10.8 kilometers. So our final answer will be 3 meters per second is the same thing as 10.8 kilometers per hour. It's not 3 kilometers per hour. You can't just say 3 meters per second, that's 3 kilometers per hour. No, it doesn't work that way. So let's go run through this process again. We're given that 3 meters goes for 1 second. We want to find that in kilometers per hour. So from the 1 second part side, we change that to 3,600 seconds, which of course is 1 hour. Now, if we're increasing from 1 second to 3,600 seconds, we have to increase the meters too by 3,600, and that's why we're multiplying by 3,600. Now, when we multiplied, we got 10,800 meters. 3,600 seconds, of course, is 1 hour. Now, we have to change these meters to kilometers because it says we should change to kilometers per hour, not meters per hour. And to change meters to kilometers, we simply divide by 1,000. And that's how we got 10.8 kilometers per hour. You, my friend, are ready for one of your own. This says a rabbit can run at a speed of 8 meters per second. How fast is that in kilometers per hour? You will have 1 minute for this. Begin. Alrighty then, I believe that you are done. Without wasting time, let's just walk through it together. Now, what do we know? We know that the rabbit can run 8 meters in 1 second, and we want to find kilometers per hour. So we need to change this 1 second to 1 hour. That is 3,600 seconds. Now, if we are increasing this by 3,600, if we're increasing this in the ratio 1 to 3,600, we have to increase this as well. And that means we'll be multiplying by 3,600 over 1 times 8 meters. Now let's multiply. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 6 is 48. Regroup 4. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus that 4 that we regroup the other time, that is 28. So we have 28,800 meters. We have 28,800 meters. Of course, 3,600 seconds is the same as 1 hour. No, we have the speed in meters for 1 hour. That is meters per hour. But we're told to change it to kilometers per hour. And that means we have to change this one to kilometers. So to change this to kilometers, we simply divide by 1,000. And that is moving the decimal point back 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Decimal point will end up here. And we'll cancel these 2 zeros. So we should have 28.8 kilometers. And that means that this speed, 8 meters per second, is the same as 28.8 kilometers per hour. Did you get it right? Well, if you did, then you did well, my friend. But if you did not, no problem. You will have enough time to practice using the homework and, of course, the online assessment that we have for you. But we are not done for the day. We still have something to work with. This says comparison of speeds. Now, do you know this man? That is Usain Bolt. And of course, that is a cheater beside him. So one day, Usain Bolt challenged this cheater to a race. And we now discovered that Usain Bolt runs at an average speed of 36 kilometers per hour, but the cheater runs at an average speed of 27 meters per second. Which of them is faster? Okay, so on the surface of it, somebody might be tempted to say that, oh, Usain runs 36 kilometers in 1 hour and this cheater runs 27 meters per second. Usain is faster than the cheater. But that is not the way to compare speeds, my friend. If you want to know whether speed is more than the other, you have to make sure they are in the same units. It's either they are both in meters per second or they are both in kilometers per hour. But in this case, Usain's speed is given in kilometers per hour and the cheater's speed is given in meters per second. So we have to change one of them to the unit of the other. I say let's change Usain's unit from 36 kilometers per hour to meter per second, and then we'll be able to compare with that of the cheater. Let's go. So Usain's distance to Usain's time. Usain travels 36 kilometers in 1 hour, and that means that he travels 36,000 meters in 3,600 seconds, because 36 kilometers is 36,000 meters, because 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. 36 kilometers will be 36,000 meters. On this side, 1 hour is the same thing as 3,600 seconds, as we have established at the beginning of the lesson. So we now need to find for 1 second, because we're going to meters per second. Okay, so we will have to reduce this to 1 second. Let's see. So if we reduce this to 1 second, that will be in the ratio 3,600 to 1. We have to reduce these as well. And we'll put the smaller number on top and the bigger number below when we are reducing. And so we will have 1 over 3,600 times 36,000 meters, which is what we are trying to reduce. So let's quickly work this out. Okay, a white pen should do. Now, 2 zeros cancel, 2 zeros, 36 goes here 1, 36 goes here 1, 36 goes here 0. So we have 10. 1 times 10, that is 10 meters per second. So Usain Bolt runs at a speed of 10 meters per second when we convert his speed from kilometers per hour to meters per second. Now let us see who is the faster. Is it Usain or the cheater? So Usain's speed now is 10 meters per second. And remember that the cheater's speed is 27 meters per second. So who is the faster of the two? Obviously, the cheetah is way faster than Usain Bolt. The cheetah, of course, is the fastest land animal. So we say that the cheetah is faster than Usain Bolt. No man can outrun the cheetah, even if you are the fastest man in the world. All right, then. So the summary of it all is that when you want to compare two speeds, you have to ensure that they are in the same unit. Either they are both in kilometers per hour or in meters per second. You'll have enough time to practice this as well. Here is one that says, oh, this is your homework. Umar and Z ran a race. Umar ran 800 meters in 5 minutes and Z ran 320 meters in 2 minutes. Who is the faster of the two? Who do you think is faster? I think Umar is in front. Well, I'm not saying the answer. Copy this down. You have 30 seconds. But do not go away, because today is Thursday. And you know we have the Thursday teasers. I'll be right back. Hello children, you're welcome to this segment of the mathematics class. It's the Thursday teaser segment where I give you some challenge to task your brain. And you must be wondering, what does Uncle Agbaje have for us today? Well, I have this task. How many squares are there? Remember, a square is a four-sided shape with all the sides equal. I'll give you 1 minute to figure this out. Begin. Alrighty then. How many squares were you able to see in there? Somebody said 16. Somebody said 24. Well, let's just walk through it together. I think I have to count by myself. So if we count all the 1 by 1 squares, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Let us keep 16 somewhere. Now, if we count all the 2 by 2 squares, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That will be 9 2 by 2 squares. So let me add that plus 9. And then if we count all the 3 by 3 squares, let's go. Oh, let me erase all the ink here first. Okay, so 3 by 3 squares coming right up. 1, 2, 3, then this one, 4. That is 4. So 19 plus 6 plus 4. So, sorry, 16 plus 9 plus 4, that will be 29. Okay, so keep 29 for me. And then we have the 4 by 4, the bigger one. That is just 1, and that is 30. Then we have this one, 31, 32. Did you see that? Then 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. I can see no more, and that means that in there we have 40 squares. Did you get it right? Okay, some of them you missed out. Oh, no problem. You did well even attempting them at all. That's it for today's lesson in mathematics. I hope you enjoyed yourself. In the next lesson, I expect you to tell me who is faster between Umar and Zay. It's time for me to hand you over to Uncle Popo for the General Studies lesson. Till I come your way in the next class, remain wonderful mathematicians. Bye-bye now.
Hello, pupils. You are welcome to General Studies class. I am Uncle Popo. Uncle Popo is here. Good, I am also here. That's your response. We are here together. Excellent. 100% attention. Excellent. 100% attention is what I want you to give me in today's lesson. Our subject for today is agricultural science. In our last lesson in agricultural science, we talked about distribution of crops. And we were told that we have some crops adapted to some certain areas or region in Nigeria, and we do not have those crops in some other part of the country. That we have distribution of crops based on the savanna, based on the forest, swamp, and all that. Today, we want to look at another topic in agricultural science. Have you not wondered why we have some animals in some parts of Nigeria and we do not have those animals in some parts of the country? You know, we have some animals that we can get in certain part of the country, maybe in the north, and we can't get it maybe in the south or in the east. That's distribution of animals in Nigeria. Like we have distribution of crops in Nigeria, we also have distribution of animals in Nigeria. So let's look at the learning objectives. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to explain what distribution of animals is, and you should be able to list some examples of animals found in different regions in Nigeria. Distribution of animals in Nigeria. This refers to the region where particular animals are mostly adopted in Nigeria. The region where particular animals are mostly adopted in Nigeria, where we have some animals, the regions where we have some certain animals or particular animals. That's what we mean by the distribution of animals. So the region where particular animals are mostly adapted in Nigeria. Like these are different kinds of animals. We shall look at their regions where they are mostly adapted. Now let's look at this region of animals with examples. The first one we want to talk about savanna and semi-arid. Just like in our last lesson in agricultural science where we had savanna, so still the same. Savanna, when we say savanna is grassland with scattered individual trees. It is often believed that savannas featured widely spaced scattered trees. However, in many savannas, tree densities are higher and trees are more regular. Let's look at what I'm talking about. This is just example of savanna, like what I've just said now. So the examples of animals found in savanna, we have cattle. Just like we have that large piece of land that we have just a few trees there. So animals that are mostly adapted in that region in savanna is we have cattle. I think now when I mention cattle, you should have know the part of the country I'm talking about. Is it in the east? Okay, some are saying no. South? No. North? Yes, mostly in the north. We have cattle. Now let's look at the common areas. Let's say the states now. We have savanna in Sokoto, Kebbi, Kano, Borno, Taraba, Kaduna, Adamawa. All these are in the northern part of the country. So savanna and the cattle, we have them adapted to that region. Now, looking at distribution of animals in Nigeria, we've talked about savanna and semi-arid land. Now, on to derived savanna. Derived savanna was once covered in forests, but has lost tree cover due to agricultural and other pressures on land. Now, let's look at the picture of what I'm talking about. This is derived savanna. Let's look at the picture here. This is when talking about derived savanna. And looking at this kind of region, let's look at what are the animals that we can find in this region. Examples of animals there, we have them sheep. We have sheep in that region. So, and we also have goats, sheep, goats, and we also have cattle there too. We have sheep in savanna, we have goats, we have cattle in derived savanna. Sheep, goats, cattle are good examples in derived savanna. Then what are the common areas where we can get all this? Kwara, Oyo, Osun, Enugu, and Anambra. So these are the common areas where we mostly get the example of some animals like sheep, goats, cattle, because we have the right savanna in that region. Moving on to the next distribution of animals in Nigeria, we have talked about savanna and semi-arid, and we've talked about the right savanna. Now on to rainforest region. A rainforest is simply an area of tall, mostly evergreen trees and a high amount of rainfall. Rainforest is simply an area of tall, mostly evergreen trees and high amount of rainfall. This is what I'm talking about. You can see that everywhere. This is when talking about bush. This is showing the examples of rainforest. Tall trees, evergreen, and high amount of rainfall. And in what region or which part of Nigeria do you think we mostly have this? But before that, let's look at the animals that are adapted this area. We have them like pig, Some are looking at this pig that, wow, this pig is quite different from the ones you've seen before. This is also a pig. Common areas where we have these, that's we have them in Bayelsa, Cross River, Edo, Ekiti, Ondo, Osun, Rivers, and Taraba. So now on to the next one, and that is swamp region. We're talking about distribution of animals in Nigeria. We've talked about savanna, and derived savanna, rainforest, and now on to swamp. A freshwater swamp forest is defined as a forest that is full of mineral-rich water, that's fresh water, either as permanent, irregular, or seasonal condition. Let me take that again. Talking about swamp, a freshwater swamp forest is defined as a forest that is full of mineral-rich water, that's fresh water, either as a permanent, irregular, or seasonal condition. Let's look at the picture of what I'm talking about. This is just example of swamp. You know, we have the flow of water, either as permanent, irregular, or seasonal condition there. This is just example of swamp. Now, freshwater swamp forests have multiple sources of water, which include rivers, could be rain, and water from the ground. Now, let's look at examples of animals mostly adapted in swampy area. And this is fish. You know, talking about water, you should know that we have, it has to do with animals that we can find in water. And typical example is fish. And the common areas. I mean, now talking about the common areas, now we are talking about the states where we have is full of swampy areas. That's the Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, Lagos, Ogun, Ondo, and Rivers State. These are examples of common areas of the swamp region. Now on to savanna. The first one we talked about savanna and semi-arid, and this is the last part of it, that's the savannas. What are the common animals there? Donkeys, horses, and common areas where we have savanna, that's in Sokoto, Kebbi, Katsina, Kano, Jigawa, Bauchi, and Borno. That's the common areas where we have savanna. You know, the first one we had savanna and semi-arid, and this one is savanna. In today's lesson, we talked about distribution of animals in Nigeria, and you were told that distribution of animals in Nigeria refers to the region where each particular animal is mostly adopted in Nigeria. And we talked about savanna and semi-arid animals there, cattle, common areas, Sokoto, Kebbi, and so on. We talked about derived savanna, example of animal there, sheep, goat, cattle, common areas, Kwara, Oyo, Osun, and so on. We talked about forest, rainforest, examples of common animal there, that's pig, and common areas, Bayelsa, Cross River, Edo, and so on. Swamp, examples of animal there, fish, and common areas, Lagos, Bayelsa, Cross River, and so on. And lastly, we talked about savanna, examples of animal, donkeys, and horses, and the common areas we have Sokoto, Kebbi, Katsina, and so on. All these we discuss in today's lesson. Now I have just 3 questions to test you on what we have learned today. The first question: list 2 examples of animals found in savanna. Don't forget savanna. No. The second one, write 1 example of animal found in swamp region. And lastly, write 1 example of animal found in rainforest. You have just 40 seconds to attempt this. Uncle Popo is here. Good. So let's mark together. List 2 examples of animals found in savanna, donkeys, and horses. Number 2, write 1 example of animal found in swampy region. That's fish. And the last one, write 1 example of animal found in rainforest. That is pig. Now I have just 3 questions. 3 over 3. Let me see your hand. Good. 2 over 3. 2 out of 3. Excellent. You deserve to be celebrated with a cheer. We have come to the end of today's lesson. Until next time, next lesson, Uncle Popo says, keep on studying. Bye.
My wonderful pupils, we have come to the end of another beautiful edition on the classroom in your home.
It has been like we should not end today's lesson, but of course, time is not our friend. But we have had fun, hoping that you have as well, and you have learned new things in mathematics, in English studies, and of course in general studies. Now, you can keep Auntie Fomi, Uncle Agbaje, and Uncle Popo with you even after we're gone. The only way you can do this is by doing the online assessment that we have structured out for you. You can access this online assessment using the link bit.ly/LASUBEB-tests. That is bit.ly/LASUBEB-tests. Remember, that's our way of knowing how well you are performing so that we can build more fantastic lessons for you.
Taking the online test is based on if you have access to either your daddy's, your mommy's, your uncle's, or your auntie's Android or smartphones. If not, there's no problem. Just send your questions, your comments, and your homework to 081 5086 5663. Please do not call that number. SMS and WhatsApp messages only. And when you're sending in your homework, make sure you indicate your name,
Your school,
Your class.
and your local government education authority. That is the only way through which you can be identified and rewarded accordingly.
We believe you enjoyed today's lessons and the previous ones. All these lessons are on Lagos SUBEB YouTube channel for you to watch over and over again. Just subscribe to Lagos SUBEB YouTube channel in order to get notification when new videos are uploaded. The classroom in your home could be watched live on Facebook, the same time airing on television through the page showing on the screen.
Until our next lesson, when we shall meet again on another beautiful edition of the classroom in your home, make sure you do your homework.
Wash your hands regularly.
keep studying hard, but above all,
Stay safe.
because at LASUBEB,
We leave no child behind.